Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to the Week in Review on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital. I am Mukhtar Kasim. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Apologies for starting the program behind schedule. It was due to problems beyond our control. And now to start the review in proper. The Week in Review is a weekly recap of some of the biggest headlines that made stories around the world and Nigeria over the past 7 days. We begin with one of the major week's headline in economy, where President Bola Tinubu in the week under review ordered the Federal Executive Council Committee to move swiftly on measures to further reduce food prices across the country. The Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, disclosed this in Abuja. He said the directive focused on ensuring safe passage of farm produce across transport routes to cost logistic costs. According to the minister, the plan aligns with the Tinubu's broader vision of food sovereignty, not just availability, but affordability, accessibility, and nutrition on a sustainable basis.
With food security high on the national agenda, experts and stakeholders gathered in Abuja to assess Nigeria's agricultural research capacity under the theme Agricultural Research Capacities in Nigeria, The Journey So Far. Executive Secretary, Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria, Dr. Abubakar Daban, stressed that research is the backbone of the country's agricultural transformation. He called for stronger institutions, wider stakeholder collaboration, and adoption of modern technology to boost productivity.
In this new phase of AICA, we are committed to building on this legacy of our predecessor by pursuing initiatives that align with the strategic goals of AICA and the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security.
The Director of Planning, Research and Statistics, Dr. Shuaibu Madugo, and other stakeholders highlighted the evolution of research institutes and their impact on national food security.
Infrastructural capabilities, well, as you can see, we have several infrastructural growth over the years, including establishment of ISO certified laboratories.
The discussions at the forum are expected to provide useful insights to achieving sustainable food security. Anieti Patrick, reporting for Global TV.
Still in the week under review, attention turned to Nigeria's finances, where the House of Representatives Committee on Appropriation raised concerns over the slow pace of budget implementation. But finance officials assured lawmakers of improved performance before the year runs out. Following a closed-door session with the Ministers of Finance, Budget and National Planning, the Debt Management Office and Accountant General of the Federation in Abuja, Committee Chairman Abubakar Bichi said discussions centered on the 2024 and 2025 Appropriation Act. Aniete Patrick completes the report.
Addressing the media, Chairman House Committee on Appropriations attributed some delays to ongoing verification and reconciliation processes and the transition to the extended fiscal framework, but emphasized that key infrastructure projects are still being executed nationwide.
Basically, members are concerned seriously about that, and Minister of Budget and Minister of Finance also confirmed to us that Nigerians can see a lot of changes and developments for this budget. And Nigerians are really concerned about the budget implementations, which is co-mandate to the National Assembly. We have engaged with Minister of Finance and Minister of Budget. Both of them acknowledged that, and they've agreed to work so hard so that at least Nigerians can see the progress of the budget.
Finance Minister and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edu, told lawmakers that the 2024 budget is already 80% implemented, with the National Assembly extending its validity to December. He explained that priority projects include grassroots infrastructure such as roads and irrigation schemes.
The budget for 2024 was extended by the National Assembly till December, so it is still running. So it is still a work in progress, it's still ongoing. And likewise, we looked at what is happening in 2025, and we put heads together to ensure that particularly the projects that touch the grassroots, that provide support and provide resources and facilities.
Budget and National Planning Minister Abubakar Bagudu highlighted the strong collaboration between the executive and the legislature, stressing that reforms under President Bola Tinubu are beginning to yield results.
They have supported all the major reform initiatives which have produced the result, including the latest tax reforms. It's an ongoing discussion. The committee and the executive have interfaced, and we appreciate what we need to do better.
Both ministers reaffirmed the federal government's commitment to ensure full and effective implementation of the 2024 and 2025 budgets. The Appropriations Committee says it will continue to closely monitor progress to ensure that Nigerians feel the impact of the national budget. Anieti Patrick, reporting for Global TV.
Also this week, the spotlight shifted to media and governance, with the Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, Sabi Abdullahi, urging journalists covering the National Assembly to exercise caution and accuracy in their reportage to avoid misleading the public. He gave the advice at a one-day capacity-building workshop on parliamentary reporting in Abuja. Topsin Giba reports.
Speaking at the capacity-building workshop on parliamentary reporting organized by the Senate Press Corps in Abuja, the Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Sabi Abdullahi, emphasized that the parliamentary reporting is a specialized bit requiring intellectual depth and responsibility. He maintained that the legislature remains the hallmark of democratic governance and enjoined reporters to play their role, strengthen the institution rather than undermining it.
His vision is for us to have food sovereignty. Within the ambit of food security, you go for food sovereignty, which means you are sufficiently producing your commodities or your produce yourself, and you are making it available for your citizens in an affordable level and accessible at the same time.
Also, addressing participants, the Presidential Liaison Officer on National Assembly Matters, Senator Dr. Ita Ennang, encouraged journalists to familiarize themselves with legislative processes through the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies in order to enhance accuracy.
Reporting has been the penchant for the media to give less attention to bills and legislative measures, but rather focus on soft side of the news from the legislature. Even when the least attention is given to a legislative measure, it is the soft, of course, and indeed the least relevant measure to the bills under consideration.
In his remarks, the chairman of the Senate Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Yemi Adaramudu, highlighted the media's critical role in national development.
By creating a platform for dialogue, reflection and training, you are not only strengthening the quality of journalism, but also enriching our democracy. On behalf of the Nigerian Senate, I assure you of our continued support and partnership initiatives that enhance openness, accountability, and professionalism in the coverage of legislative works.
Earlier, Chairman of the Senate Press Corps, Tai Odowale, commended the resource persons for their insights while urging members of the press to sharpen their skills in legislative reporting.
You all to this very important occasion, strategically conceived to widen our horizon of knowledge on what it takes to cover the parliament. In this context, the National Assembly, be it the Senate or the House of Representatives, and report objectively for the good of Nigeria.
The workshop was expected to further equip parliamentary correspondents with the knowledge and skills required to bridge the gap between lawmakers and the public, while deepening Nigeria's democratic process. Topsy Gimba for Global Television News.
Now to security matters, where Borno State's governor, in the week under review, visited Darul Jamal, a border town with Cameroon that hosts a military base under heavy military escort. The visit followed a terror attack that killed 63 people, including 5 soldiers. Governor Zulum said terrorists unleashed mayhem on the town, where residents had only returned a month earlier from a displacement camp. Uyi Agbomofuwegbe reports.
The latest attack raises questions about Nigeria's push in recent years to close down camps for internally displaced persons and return their inhabitants to the countryside. Governor Zulum confirmed to journalists at the scene of the attack the casualty figure.
It's very sad. This community was resettled some months ago and they are going about their normal businesses, but unfortunately they had a Boko Haram attack yesterday. So we are here purposely to commiserate with them and to build their resilience. As of now, we confirm that 63 have lost their lives. Yes, both the civilians and the army, but the civilian casualties are known.
While jihadist violence has waned since the peak of the Boko Haram insurgency between 2013 and 2015, militants, including rival Islamic State's West African province, continue to launch attacks across rural areas in the northeast, a situation that has now made Governor Zulum to say the numerical strength of the Nigerian army requires an upward review.
The numerical strength of the Nigerian army is not enough to contain the situation.
Residents said the attack began around 8:30 p.m. local time when dozens of fighters arrived on motorbikes firing assault rifles and torching homes. Uyi Agmofwegbe reporting for Global TV News.
On security, Zamfara State was in the news this week, where a chieftain of the All Progressive Congress, Sani Shinkafi, said deploying advanced surveillance technology could give security forces the upper hand in the fight against banditry in the state. Aneti Patrick reports.
As insecurity continues to plague Zamfara State, APC chieftain Sani Shinkafi believes technology could provide the breakthrough security agencies have been searching for. He listed poverty, unemployment, weak judicial systems, and porous borders with Niger Republic as the root causes fueling crime in the state. Shinkafi urged the federal government to adopt environmental remote sensing technology, combining satellite mapping, drones, and geographic information systems to track bandits' movements, uncover hideouts, and even predict attacks. He said the innovation will enhance collaboration among the military and other security agencies, paving the way for faster and more coordinated responses.
This technology, it is very easy and very simple way to combat this armed bandit and other criminal element in the state. Because that technology will enable you to identify the movement of the bandits, their hideout, their area coordinates.
Shinkafi expressed confidence that the use of mobile phone and fingerprint tracking will help dismantle criminal networks and restore peace to Zamfara. The APC chieftain therefore called on the federal government's backing for the initiative, describing it as a turning point in ending armed banditry in the states.
And wherever they are going to launch any attack, using that remote sensing, it is very easy for mapping, identification. Then if he can have a synergy with Nigerian security and the federal government, with the use of satellite and surveillance drone and attacking drones, and also jet fighters and the ground troops to be put in place.
With hopes high on technology-driven solutions, it is expected that the innovations will translate into lasting peace in Zamfara State. Aneti Patrick reporting for Global TV.
Week in Review also brought stories of empowerment, with the federal government launching the Renewed Hope Empowerment Program for widows and survivors of gender-based violence in Benue State. Benue State correspondent Felicity Ndere reports. And that report will be brought to you in our subsequent bulletin. And now let's move to news that made rounds in the week under review in business, where Nigerian workers also made their voices heard in the past week. The Nigerian Labour Congress and the federal government workers demanded an urgent review of the national minimum wage, insisting that the current 70,000 naira is no longer sustainable. Their call follows step by several states to raise the minimum wage above the benchmark in response to prevailing economic realities. The Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, in the week under review, announced it secured over $400 million in pre-sale decommissioning and abandonment liabilities from recent oil divestment. The Commission's chief executive, Gbenga Komolafe, said the move would save Nigeria from inheriting costly environmental and financial burdens. Still on business and energy, Nigeria took a bold step towards renewable energy, with the federal government in collaboration with the International Solar Alliance launching a $500 million distributed renewable energy Nigeria fund to accelerate solar deployment nationwide. The 3-year framework is designed to catalyze investment in solar projects and boost adoption across the country. On the foreign scene, the week ended with a major continental meeting in Ethiopia, with African leaders wrapping up the second Africa Climate Summit with a pledge to accelerate investment in renewable energy and establish a coalition of critical mineral producers. The African Union also pressed for a global climate finance system that eases the debt burden on developing countries. Away from Africa to the United States, where politics and tribute dominated the headlines, President Donald Trump honored slain conservative activist Charlie Kirk, describing him as a martyr for truth and freedom. Our correspondent completes the report. In a video posted on his Truth social media platform, President Trump hailed the 31-year-old as a powerful voice in conservative politics who dedicated his life to defending America's values. Kirk, who founded the conservative youth group Turning Point USA, was shot and killed during a public event at Utah Valley University in Utah, sparking grief and tributes from allies across the United States.
In horror, Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America. He fought for liberty, democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth.
The killing of Charlie Kirk has not only shaken America's conservative movement, but has also drawn global attention, underscoring the heightened political tension surrounding his death. Mukhtar Qasim, reporting for Global Television News. Elsewhere in Asia, Nepal faced its most recent violent protest in years. The United Nations High Commission for Human Rights, Volker Turk, voiced alarm after a brutal police crackdown left at least 19 people dead, with protesters setting fire to parliament. Uyi Agbomofuigbe tracks the story.
The UN Rights Chief said citizens have the right to peacefully express their frustrations, noting that there are concerning reports of unnecessary and disproportionate use of force by the security forces. He made a plea for law enforcement to exercise substantial constraint.
I'm appalled by the escalating violence in Nepal that has resulted in multiple deaths and the injury of hundreds of mostly young protesters, as well as the widespread destruction of property. I plead with security forces to exercise utmost restraint and to avoid further such bloodshed and harm.
He equally condemned attacks on government buildings, business entities, and private buildings, describing such acts as disturbing.
Violence is not the answer. Dialogue is the best and only way to address the concerns of the Nepalese people. It is important that the voices of young people are heard. Protesters have the right to express peacefully their political frustrations and grievances over corruption and a ban on social media platforms.
Turk also said his office stands ready to support dialogue and trust-building measures that can help de-escalate tensions and restore confidence. Uyi Agbomofuigbe, reporting for Global TV News.
In Kinshasa, where football fans in the Democratic Republic of Congo vandalized seats at the Stade de Matthias after their team's 3-2 defeat to Senegal in the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier. The Leopards had raced to a 2-goal lead, but Senegal clawed back to seal a dramatic last-minute victory. Now that's it on the Week in Review, your roundup of some of the biggest stories that made headlines in the past week, home and abroad. I am Mukhtar Kasim. Thank you for joining us. Join us again next time for another edition. Until then, stay tuned to Global Television for more news and programs. Bye for now.